Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Tone's Market Analysis for Thursday, February 9th. Sorry I couldn't make one of these last night. I usually do these on Sundays and Wednesdays, but I was traveling back from Toronto, so wasn't around last night to do it. Speaking of Toronto, the event in Toronto was great. I had no idea a meetup would have this much of an audience. This is a bigger audience watching a presentation than at most Bitcoin conferences, and it was great. It was a great turnout. I was a speaker. Peter Todd was a speaker. Definitely a shout out to others that came out. Julia Turiansky, Sunny, thanks for putting it on. I know Mike in Space was there and Richie Rich was there, so I got to meet some people. There's Brett right there. So it was a lot of people. A lot of people came out that I got to meet for the first time. So it was great. I had a really good time. All right. Once again, I haven't had time to update my blog site. The Crypto Scam is already 4 episodes in. The moment I'm done with this podcast for analysis, I'm going to work on editing episode 5, and we'll try and release that one tomorrow. I have episode 6 recorded as well, but these things take time. You need at least, I'm spending at least like 6 to 7 hours post-processing now on these episodes. So it'll take a little bit of time for them to come out. The next event I will be speaking at will be Anarchapulco, which is also a great event. And if you can make it out to Mexico, a lot of good speakers, definitely come down. And I will be tweeting about this weekend coming up, and I'll probably mention it in a little bigger detail on the next podcast. And I'm also teaching my 2-day seminar following the conference. All right, enough administrative stuff. Let's just jump right into the markets. Again, I've been in Toronto the last 3 days, so I haven't been paying much attention. So this is going to be a very quick overview. The S&P 500 made a new all-time high today. I am not surprised. Ever since I put this green arrow in, I was still expecting higher prices, even though they immediately pulled back down. I'm still short-term bullish stock market, as well as long-term bullish stock market, but there will be a pullback. Again, I had my, this was a doji I was paying attention to. I had a red arrow drawn here, followed by a green arrow over to this Fibonacci extension. Drew this green arrow a few weeks ago when we made a new high above this doji, and then I was expecting it to go up. This is not a reversal candle, neither on the weekly level or on a daily level. I see no reason for markets to pull back tomorrow. There's probably a little more upside. In the Dow Jones, this 13 was signaling a potential top, but we need a price flip, which didn't happen. And now we're at new highs. Now we're up to a 5 count, 4 more days of up moves, and then we're going to have another 9, 13, 9 sell signal. But as you can see, just because you get a sell signal doesn't mean it's going to sell off. It just means it's something to pay attention to. Gold. This is a bit unfortunate because I am looking at gold for the first time in like 3 days. The 3 days I was in Toronto, basically this entire week. So the candle being formed right now is the Friday candle. So that means this was the Monday candle. And Monday was the day I left for Toronto in the morning, and I did not look at gold at all. As you can see, I put this green arrow in the moment we made a new high. You know what? Let me zoom in on here because this is interesting. A little too much. Well, let me close these, free up some space. All right, so if you look, I put this arrow in. Probably the last video I did over the weekend. That's what it feels like. I don't even remember, so somebody can fact check me on that. the moment we broke above this line, this was my high of the Fibonacci. And I said, boom, once you have this, I had a short position, which I exited around this area. But once you had this making a new high, that's allowed me to draw this green arrow. You can see once we broke above this previous high, we took off. And look where we stopped. I did not even notice this till honestly 5 minutes ago. Had I seen this, and this Fibonacci extension was drawn in back here. So I've had this line drawn here for weeks. And we touched it, and then we touched it again yesterday. And I'm looking at gold for the first time in a week. And I'm like, man, this is almost like a missed opportunity right here of a $20 drop in gold. And if we go back below this line, it's probably going to keep going back down. It's still possible we'll reverse, but this isn't looking very good for gold. My target was to maybe the 200-day moving average, but it's not looking like it at the moment. Here's the weekly, and if you look at that weekly candle, I don't want to zoom in, so I hope you guys can see. We still have one more day to go, but this is looking like a reversal shooting star candle after what looked to be the ending of the run at the 50% Fibonacci. Now it's coming up. It just missed the next Fibonacci level. It came and hit the 200 week, came up short of the 50 week. Again, I know these moving averages crossed in a bullish way, but I'm fully expecting these moving averages to cross back over once again in a bearish way. There is still some room for gold to run. It still has the moving average. It still has the Fibonacci that it didn't actually touch. It still has the downward trend line, and it still has resistance here at 1375. It's just a mountain of resistance. And even though it's possible that it can go and break them, my money is that it won't. And I don't even have a single ounce of bullish thoughts about gold until we have a weekly close above 1400. And to me, gold is bearish, and I'm expecting it to go under 1,000. I'm not highly. I don't think very highly of gold at all. Here is oil. To be honest, I don't even know if I still have my bullish position in oil. I haven't even looked at that position. I keep mentioning this dead zone of oil not moving, and you just completely forget about it and ignore it. It's possible that my oil position had hit maturity and it just exited itself out, probably around break even, because I got in at like in like this area. So I'm still looking for oil to go up. I mean, I have no reason to be bearish oil until we fall back down below 50 at the least, below the 50-day moving average after that, and below the previous low at like 42. So until all that happens, oil is in a bullish posture of the in reverse head and shoulders, or inverse head and shoulders, however you like to call it. Momentum's moving up. Momentum's moving up. Yes, it's in a boring state of like God knows how many weeks now, for 2 months. But so what? You know, it doesn't change the bullish posture of oil. All right, let's close these. Oh yeah, and there are live viewers, so go ahead and ask questions. I'll get to a few questions at the end. Just start off with the word question, preferably in like all caps or something, so that it's very easy for me to separate questions from my internal chatter within the chat group of those that are watching. All right, currencies, before we get to Bitcoin. Again, dollar, standard pullback, nothing to worry about. No, I take that back. There is something to worry about. Let me highlight that here. So the RSI, I should make it this thick. So the RSI has clearly made a lower low, and so did the MACD. Has made a lower low. But your price has made a higher high. This is what we call divergence. And the textbook definition of this tells you that the price is lying to you, and momentum is, the momentum indicators are valid over the price. So this indicates that there might be a bigger pullback in the dollar than I initially thought, but I'm gonna still stick with this is a pullback to the 50-day moving average, maybe back to the 50% Fibonacci, or it might have already ended. So I'm still not convinced, even though my indicators are telling me so. A weekly chart of the euro, and this is a very bearish candle. So if this candle closes this way, and next week we have it's starting off to the downside, things could get ugly for the euro in a hurry. The British pound isn't as weak as the euro was this week, and it's holding up. Now, I have a new speculation as to why the euro is a basket case, and I kind of knew about it, but it looks like Le Pen and I believe it's National Front in France is picking up a lot of momentum, especially off the tailwinds of a Trump win in the US. So she is a nationalist. I don't want to call her a right-winger. She is a very nationalist type politician who wants to get the France out of the nonsense of the Eurozone, and I agree with her. She wants to get it off the euro currency, and I agree with her. There are many things I disagree with her on, just like I disagree with Trump on many things, but I agree with him on things, and I didn't disagree. I don't agree on anything Hillary was saying. I agree with many things that Trump was saying. I disagree with a few of them, and the same thing with France. I agree with most of the things she says, not all of them. Some of them I disagree on, but the good outweighs the bad. Kind of like to say that's my view of Trump as well. The good outweighs the bad. So the politics will matter when it comes to euro, and if it's looking like Le Pen is actually going to win the French election, the euro is just gonna, it'll be like a giant snowball going down the hill. The speed at which the euro is gonna collapse against the US dollar might be unprecedented. So I'm dying to see that. I'm a very bad timer when it comes to trading, especially currencies. So there's a good chance I will not profit from that trade much, but that's my expectation. Taking a look at the Mexican peso, only because I will be in Mexico in about a week and a half, and I mean I don't want bad things to happen to Mexico, but for my pocket, I would love to see this like just go up, but I also don't want instability in Mexico while I'm there. So as long as it stays above 20, I'll be happy. Might be just a pullback back to 19. You see a top here, a little bit higher here. That's also where the 50-day moving average is. So it's okay. It comes back to like the 19 to 20 area, and then it reverses and goes back up to like 22, 23. But again, it's not like Mexico is doing anything bad. It's just that the dollar is just strong. All right, so Bitcoin, looking at the weekly chart, nothing to worry about. This week we came back down, touched the, wow, did we really fall that low on the weekly? I guess this is Bitstamp. Every exchange is different. This also could have been way early in the week because it's a weekly candle. Stayed above our last Fibonacci at 915 support. And next level of resistance is the all-time highs of the 1175 area, which we just missed by a hair a month ago. So nothing to see here, nothing to worry about here. Okay, so the daily. Again, right, there's nothing here worries me at all because we're still within our channel. This arrow is perfectly intact to go to the top of the channel. If you're like me and you spent your whole time on airplanes and meeting people and speaking and not looking at the news or not looking at Twitter, you would have absolutely no idea there was even news this morning or overnight for those of us in the US. This really doesn't look like much. Again, just like in the US dollar example, what we may have to worry about, just slightly, only because I like to have everything covered, and this should be red, is as you can see, your momentum has clearly made a lower low, but that's assuming we don't rebound tomorrow back to 1100 or 1070. And your RSI, sorry, your MACD, has also made a very clear lower high. And the price, and I'll probably delete these because these aren't that important. I'm just showing them while doing a live video. And your price made a lower high, assuming we have another down day tomorrow, which is not an obvious assumption. Then you have confirmation between your highs of your momentum and your highs of your indicators. So this may be something. Maybe we'll go back to the bottom of the channel. But the important part, and I'll get to this in a second. The important part is that we stay above 915. 915 right there. I've been talking about 915 ever since we broke out. I've been talking about 915 for a while. It's a Fibonacci line, which you don't see it on this graph. You'll see it on a different graph. Or I can even add it. I know it's part of my Fibonacci's here. I think it's this one. Yeah, there it is. Okay, 917 here. So this 915 area I find very, very important. And it's possible we may like hang around here and maybe touch it here in the corner where it's in the channel and also on the 915. It's possible. We came up just short. As long as we stay above 915, I'm not worried. It's when we go below 915, then we start to get worried a little bit. Here is the hourly. It already looks like the panic is over. This was the channel I had drawn a little while back. And by a little while, I mean last video. Let's extend it and see what it looks like. These things are so hard to draw. Wow, look at that. Look at the perfect hits of this channel. And it looks like we're coming right back in this channel as I speak. I guess I should talk about this spike. I've kind of been ignoring it up to this point in this video. And I will talk about it in 1 minute. I published this on TradingView a little while ago. This is the Brave New Coin Liquid Index. This will update in about 50 minutes. So it's still showing you the price of 1053, which was the price at 8 p.m. yesterday. Time. In about 40 minutes, this will update again, and it will be down at, I don't know, around the 50-day moving average. So here, at around like 970 area, I guess, it'll be close to this 50-day. All right, let's talk about this spike. This was a statement. I don't have a statement pulled up. I probably should have. So China announced that they're working with like 10 exchanges, and they gave them certain rules. They gave them rules on leverage, and this is very important. I don't want to cause a panic here, but if you look at my videos from prior month, I guess, since the Chinese news broke initially, that dropped the price to 760. I said there was one thing that seriously worried me, and this is, and I know this is FUD. This is fear. Oh man, I already forgot what FUD stands for. But I know this is FUD. But here's what worries me. And this is why I will never have a single Satoshi at a Chinese exchange. And I have been very, very clear about this for years. So nobody can say they weren't properly warned. The way I read the Chinese statements out of the Chinese government is that they care about KYC and AML very much. And no one should be surprised at this because every government cares. So last I heard was Bitcoin was frozen at these Chinese exchanges, and you can't withdraw your Bitcoin or your Litecoin, but you can withdraw the Chinese yuan. The reason you can withdraw the Chinese yuan is because the only people withdrawing the Chinese yuan are Chinese nationals who are KYC'd, because you would withdraw it through a bank. And this is my statement, that they care so much about money laundering. They don't mind if you KYC your own people, but they're not going to be happy with foreigners trading Bitcoin on their exchange, or foreigners moving Bitcoin out for Chinese nationals. So the fear that I had once I heard that the Chinese PBOC and Chinese regulators are involved in these Chinese exchanges, and I saw this coming years ago, is that I can see the non-Chinese national accounts being confiscated. That's the fear that I will be spreading. And this is why my advice is, if you're not a Chinese national, you should have absolutely no business having any Bitcoin on a Chinese exchange that's attempting to comply with Chinese regulation. This is insane. This is the same reason why a US exchange or a US brokerage will not have Chinese nationals trading on their exchange. Okay, this is in the regulated space. So it's insane. And those of you that say, oh, I trade on 10 exchanges, I do arbitrage, there's so much money in it. Yes, until every Chinese exchange freezes your Bitcoin and you may or may not be able to get it back. This is how Bitcoin works. If you haven't learned how Bitcoin works, that means you haven't had enough Bitcoin stolen from you, because that is how Bitcoin works when you don't control your own private keys. So that's my little rant on what worries me the most. And I've said this. Look, I'm happy that the Chinese government or regulators put in, some accountability on those exchanges, and I'm happy about that. But this regulation will take it one step further, and you're not going to be able. You'll have nobody to complain with, right? If the Chinese exchanges are forced to freeze and confiscate your Bitcoin as a foreign national, who are you going to complain to? You're going to go complain to the US government that the big bad China took your Bitcoin? They're going to laugh at you. Same thing in Europe. Same thing anywhere. Africa. It doesn't matter. Okay? So you have to be really, really careful who's holding on to your Bitcoin. And if your Bitcoin is stolen because you gave up your private keys, it's nobody's fault but your own. That's all I can pretty much say. All right. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and take some questions. I see one. Here's the question. What do you think of Decreed? And I have absolutely no idea what Decreed is. So if you want to restate your question, I'll reconsider my answer. But right now, my answer is I have no idea what you're talking about, Anand. So you might want to rephrase your question. Apparently, Bitstep did go to 913 today, and Bitfinex to 936. Oh, wow. I didn't really see it go that low. I should glance at my app right now. But again, I wasn't really paying attention. 24 hours. Yeah, you are right. It did go to 913. So that's it. That would have been my buy point. If I had any Bitcoin with any exchange, which I don't, because I don't want to let anyone even think about my private key. So if I had Bitcoin on an exchange, 913 would have been my buy point all of last week. And it would have just been sitting there as a limit order at 915, because I would have never thought it would have gotten hit, and it would have gotten hit. So that's beautiful. It would not have gotten hit on Bitfinex. And it's possible that we go lower, but because we bounced off of 915, I'm fairly bullish Bitcoin, unless you find out tomorrow morning that as a foreign national of China, you will never get your Bitcoin back, and then there'll be more panic. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. That's what FUD stands for. Thank you. I knew that. I just forgot it today. And you say the word FUD so much, you forget what the acronym actually stands for. Why does Ethereum's price move relatively in tandem with Bitcoin? Because Ethereum has no use case. And I will be covering Ethereum on my podcast, Crypto Scam, in the near future. So keep an eye on that, because Ethereum is totally useless. And it will always basically trade in tandem with Bitcoin, because the only reason anybody mines Ethereum is to convert it to Bitcoin and sell it to the greater fool who thinks Ethereum will actually amount to anything. So as long as you can profitably mine Ethereum in order to sell it for Bitcoin, it will pretty much trade in tandem with Bitcoin until people realize how useless Ethereum is, and then it will not do that anymore. Okay, so rephrase the question. Do you think Litecoin will manage to eventually get to 75% for SegWit? Thoughts on Litecoin for the future? Again, please check out my podcast, Crypto Scam, episode 3, where the entire episode is spent talking about Litecoin and SegWit. I do believe SegWit will be activated on Litecoin. If they don't, I think they will get to 75%. If they don't get to 75%, I can see them lowering this threshold to 70%, and then 65%, and then 65%, and then 60%, and they might even lower it to like 40%, right? Because there's one thing Litecoin is good for, and that is a test net. So I don't even care if they push SegWit out on Litecoin with a 20% approval. It would be very beneficial for the entire cryptocurrency space, because then we can see how SegWit performs with some kind of monetary value on it outside of the Bitcoin testnet. So I'm almost certain it will go through, even if for the only reason to test out the Lightning Network on Litecoin with SegWit. So I am expecting that. What are my thoughts on the 70% contract at OK Casino? I have no idea what OK Casino is. I have no idea what contracts are. So whoever asked that might want to rephrase the question, and then I might be able to answer it. Rumor is that OK Casino is trading against their traders. Again, I have no idea what OK Casino is. If they're holding onto your private key, I say run for the hills. Thoughts on Court of Appeals rejecting Trump's travel ban? It's going to go back and forth. It'll go to, what it tells me is that the court is Democrats with an agenda. There's nothing in there. Just if you want to just Google, go and Google our Senator Chuck Schumer from New York, who in 2015 was pushing an exact same bill as Trump just proposed. And then the other day, he's on TV crying, saying how terrible this bill is. There's nothing. There's nothing here other than Democrats are upset they didn't win an election. OK Casino is OK Coin. So that again, right? I would never let OK Coin hold my private keys, and I don't recommend anybody else do it either. But people like to gamble, so I'm not. Oh, is that what people are just calling OK Coin? They're calling it OK Casino. Nice, makes sense. Do I think that Bitcoin ETF will get approved? No, I do not. I don't. Not only do I think the Bitcoin ETF would not approve, it might be this. If the ETF gets approved, it might be the stupidest decision to have ever come out of the SEC. I have been very clear on this for a very long time. If you go to my blog, Liberty Life Trail, put in the words ETF, put in the word what are the names of those guys? The Winklevoss twins, Winklevi, or just put in Winky. just so you get a better search. There will be several videos on my blog talking about the ETF. I will try and get a crypto scam ETF episode out before the ETF approval date in March, but I only have a very limited time because I'll be spending 10 days in Mexico, or maybe even 2 weeks for the Anarchapulco. But I think the Bitcoin ETF is an incredibly stupid idea, and it should not be passed. I am way too lazy to write to the SEC, nor is it my job to write to the SEC and explain to them why it's so dumb. If they can't figure out why it's dumb on their own, then they should pass it and realize the stupidity of it in real time, and I will laugh at them each step of the way. All right, guys. On that note, I will sign off. I was able to get a video done in 30 minutes, which is very, very impressive, I think. I'm trying to keep these a little bit shorter. Good luck trading. Keep an eye out on Crypto Scam Episode 5, which I'm going to start post-editing tonight. So hopefully I will be able to get that out for you tomorrow. All right. Thanks, guys.